Hello and welcome to my kitchen. If you've been following along with me, you know that I've been testing recently the continuous glucose monitor by Abbott, the Freestyle Libre 2. And so this is part 3. So I'm in my third week of testing this glucose monitor, and the information I have found so far has been life-changing. So first of all, if you haven't seen the first video or my second video, I will put the links below so that you can take a look at those as well, because I think that each of these videos I'm making over the course of the time that I'm wearing this would have some valuable information. So I took some notes so that I don't forget this time, because it seems like every time I do this I forget something. So anyways, I don't know if I mentioned before, but I'm not part of a study, and I'm not being paid by Abbott, or I'm not even being provided the supplies by Abbott for free to evaluate my blood glucose levels with their sensor, with the continuous glucose monitoring on myself. I really wanted this to be a clean-cut, no conflict examination of how I eat, what I eat, when I eat, how much I exercise, how much I sleep, my stress, in relation to my blood glucose, and see what that showed. And I told Abbott at the time that I'm a physician and that I was interested in studying myself in relation to these, studying my blood sugar in relation to these variables, and hopefully help not only myself to attain better health, but patients as well. So that's my hope in all of this, and it's, again, not to be personally profitable in any way. That being said, I'm prefacing that this time because there's a little bit of a story here. So I was about 11 days into wearing my first monitor, and I was doing a seated meditation, eyes closed, and then I finished the meditation. I noticed the sensor was off my arm. And so I called Abbott, and their customer service is unbelievable. They graciously sent me another sensor for free. And again, I paid for the first two, so this was a bonus. And so now I'll be able to test it. I guess 28 days is what I have now on the 2 plus 11, so about 39, maybe 40 days. Retrospectively, I have to say, and I called them back and told them this, it's probably my fault, because when I was doing the meditation, I took my sweater off, so I probably got caught on my sweater. But in affixing the new sensor, what I realized by the diagrams, I thought I paid attention before, I thought I followed the directions exactly, but their diagrams show that the sensor really should be very posterior, and mine was probably a little bit more anterior, a little bit more lateral, and so probably what happened really over time is that the adhesive was getting loosened while I was sleeping. So that's word to the wise. If you're wearing a sensor, it really needs to be back so that it's not really going to be, banging into things or getting in the way while you're sleeping. Anyway, so, great for me. I have more time to evaluate the sensor. So, what I thought I wanted to do last time, I said I was going to talk about exercise and its relation to my blood sugar levels, what I found so far, and I didn't. And so I thought that would be a good time to talk about that now. But first I wanted to, and I won't forget, tell you about an experience I had yesterday. So, as some of you have known, I've been vegan since 2015, progressing to whole food plant-based, which is the difference, because whole food plant-based to me means that you don't have the processed foods, or at least highly processed foods. Yes, you might have rice, which is technically a processed food because it comes in a bag, but it's not like, Oreos. A lot of people use that as an example of a vegan food, and I hate to, throw darts at Oreos or their company, but it is a vegan product, but it's not a whole food plant-based product. Anyways, I've transitioned to whole food plant-based over the past year and a half. Whole food plant-based sofas, sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, salt-free or minimal. But what I've noticed in looking at my blood sugar, which is why this has been so helpful to me personally, and again, hopefully to you, is that I did have more blood glucose variability than probably is what's recommended. I was dipping lower than, a healthy response to food, sleep, exercise, and my spikes were a little bit higher too. So the recommendation, as I mentioned last time, is that postprandially after a meal, that your blood sugar does not rise by more than 30 milligrams per deciliter above baseline. And mine would sometimes, not all the time, but it would. In addition, I was getting sometimes 52, 58, pretty low readings. Again, mostly early morning before I would wake up. But I did notice that my curve wasn't as flat as some of the other people that I see posting. And yes, some of the people posting are following keto diets, which does flatten the curve, but not necessarily decrease insulin resistance. Although, some people would say that that's controversial. My belief is that, the whole food plant-based diet is the best way to go to improve insulin resistance. But, I'm not going to get into that here. Anyways, I knew I had room for improvement in my glucose variability and in my response, which means to me that I have some degree of insulin resistance, which is probably an explanation, at least in part, for why I retain some extra weight. Now, some people would say I don't have any weight to lose, but I know that I carry more fat than is healthy for me. Anyway, so that's all the backstory. So about a week ago, I started following a low-fat, whole food, plant-based, SOFAS, SOFAS-free diet, which means basically, if you look at any of the delineations for recommendations for plant-based eating, some people, divide it into, green light, red light, yellow light, or some people say left of the line. It has to do with calorie density. And so I've been really just eating, except for my protein powder, and the protein powder is defatted, nuts, which has low fat, higher protein. I've just been eating green light foods, which means I've been eating a 50-50 plate of half non-starchy vegetables. To me, I've been using green non-starchy vegetables and half a plate of a combination of starchy vegetables, legumes, fruit. So the 4-plated food system includes vegetables, beans, grains, and fruit. So I've been doing that. And, I knew about this, green light program before, and I was a little bit resistant, I have to say, because I did like my nuts, and I did like my seeds, hemp seeds, chia seeds. And I didn't think I was eating that much. I really didn't, because I wasn't eating nuts plain. I was using them to make, desserts, which I do like, or sauces, fake cheese sauces, things of that sort. Anyways, I didn't really think it was going to make a difference, but it has. My glucose variability, which to me is a reflection of my insulin, has gone down in this shorter period of time. So I think that I needed to, become low fat. I don't know how long I will do this. I don't know if I will have more of an improvement in my blood sugar variability over time with eliminating the fat, but generally I feel better, and it has not been as hard, as onerous as I thought it would be. Anyways, I want to show you last night. So generally what I do is I start each meal with, a large serving of green, either leafy or cruciferous vegetables. And then I go on to my second part, the second 50% part, which would be a combination. I really don't have too much fruit, but the second part will be a mixture of then the whole grains, legumes, starchy vegetables. So, in general, I'm going to show you. I know it's going to be backwards, but I'll show you. This says February 28th, so just a few days ago. Again, it's a relatively flat line. There's some peaks, there's some troughs, but not anything too dramatic. Anyway, so last night what I did, I wasn't really that hungry for a meal. I was hungry, but I didn't really feel like making a meal. I guess that's more the truth. So I started off with a large bowl of non-starchy raw vegetables, right? So that should fill me up. That should decrease my absorption of whatever I'm eating subsequently. It should slow transit time through my GI tract, all of that, right? And then I made a smoothie with frozen bananas, frozen cherries, water. Again, in the past I would have put in almond milk, a scoop of my Anthony's almond protein powder, which I love. I'll put the link below also because I think it's tasty and makes things thick. And anyways, and some cinnamon. That's it. I would have put flax in the past, so I would have had the flax, I would have had the fat from the flax, and I would have had the fat from the nut milk before. And I felt fine after, and it was tasty. About half an hour after, my blood sugar went to 152. And it had been, let me see, if I look at my chart, what was it? It started off at 74. So went from 74 right before I ate till 152. More than double. It's never gone, as long as I've been wearing this monitor now, it's never been 152. And then about an hour after that, so pretty quickly, it went down to 62. And I tested a couple times because you can get some false readings, but these were consistent. And I was really upset because I still followed the 50-50. I had raw vegetables that should have decreased absorption of the higher sugar content in the fruit, and as I've learned, and as I mentioned before, I mentioned before, Dr. Cyrus Kambata and Robbie Barbaro in their book Mastering Diabetes say that your heightened blood sugar response to fruit is not because of the carbohydrate content in fruit, it's because of the antecedent fat in your diet you've been eating. And I thought, that would have been eliminated at this point after eating no added fats for the past 6 days. Anyways, what I learned is that this is an opportunity for me to learn something more, right? So rather than become discouraged, I decided to repeat, that meal in some way in the morning. Because my question was not only would the composition spike and then subsequently lower, which is a reactive hypoglycemia when your blood sugar plummets that quickly after it spikes because your body has secreted more insulin than it really needs to digest that meal. My question was, would this do this at a different time of the day? Because that was in the evening. So today I exercised fasted, as I always do. I decided to a little bit decrease the intensity. So I did a Peloton bike for 30 minutes and about 2/3 of what I usually do in terms of, my level of intensity. So I would call it mild, bordering on moderate level of intensity. And I did half an hour of yoga. And then 20 minutes after that, I decided to have essentially the same smoothie, but this time I blended the vegetables too. Because I wanted to really see, is it the time of day more than the composition? So I thought by blending the vegetables, which some people will say, some proponents of whole food plant-based eating say chew your food, and that when you blend them, it increases the calorie density by definition because now you have the same amount of food in a smaller space and increases the speed of absorption and decreases transit time, which are not good things. You want slow transit times, you want slow absorption of your food so that your blood sugar is, nice and relatively stable throughout the day. Anyways, I decided I'm going to blend everything because some people do have, green smoothies in the morning anyways, and so it's kind of like a twofer. See, if green smoothies in the morning are a good thing, and see if eating the same thing that I had the night before in the morning was going to make a difference. I'm going to show you. I was like flabbergasted by this result. So again, it's going to be backwards. Oh, first I'll show you the valley and the peak. So that again, was yesterday, and you see the really high peak and right away the fall. So then, let me show you here. I have to get to this part. Hang on. And I guess I have to check my sugar first for it to record. Anyway, so I just ate a little bit ago. Look at how flat that curve is. So this is right here, this little bump up. I don't know if I wrote that down, what I had. So today, I guess, after that, yes. So I went from 73 was my blood sugar after I did my morning workout. And then half an hour, it stayed between half an hour and an hour, it went to 83. And then it came back down. Not to 73, but it didn't stay up very long. And it also didn't come down too quickly. It was a normal decreasing slope of the blood sugar. So this is amazing to me. What this tells me, and there are two camps. Some people will say you're more carbohydrate resistant as the day goes on. Some people will say you're more carbohydrate sensitive as the day goes on. I'm going to tell you, for me, and I'm telling you, I have a little bit of at least a little bit. Maybe I don't want to minimize it. I have insulin resistance, right? maybe not measurable, but from my own observation. What this tells me is that if I'm going to eat something that might be more rapidly absorbed and might increase my blood sugar more quickly than something else, such as a fruit smoothie, a blended fruit smoothie, it's better for me to have it after I've worked out than it is at the end of the day. So that's information for me, because ultimately what I want to do, what everybody really wants to do who's on this path for optimal health, is, stabilize your blood sugar, because it's the spikes, the peaks and valleys that really, worsen insulin resistance or cause insulin resistance in people that don't have it already. So I know going forward that for me, it's really important for me to be conscious of not only what I'm eating, but when I'm eating it and what conditions. So if I know I want a fruit smoothie, because I really do like them, then, I think that the people who are proponents of these smoothies in the morning, especially if people have been, have worked out before, they're onto something, because, it worked. I think the next question would be, although I guess the next question would be, what if before? But no, I answered that before. Anyways, I'm kind of tripping on my own words. If you remember, in another video, I said that I did have a high carbohydrate breakfast and then worked out, and I bottomed out. So the important thing, I think, for me is fast, work out, and then if I'm going to have something that might increase my blood sugar, to do that at that time of day. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Again, I guess I almost forgot again, just talking about exercise in general then. So the things that I've learned, so I'm going to look at my notes here. The things I have learned is that the type of exercise matters in what my blood sugar does. So if I'm doing resistance training, which is hard for me, I'm not that strong, my blood sugar goes up. If I'm doing a mild aerobic, walking on the treadmill, walking outside, if it's after a meal, my blood sugar goes down. So not only the type of exercise, the duration of exercise, so the longer I exercise, the more likely my blood sugar will climb up, and the timing and the relation to the meals. So if I eat in a fasted state, my blood sugar will go up. If I exercise after I've eaten, then my blood sugar goes down. And what I think, and people have written all about this, I think what we see as an increase in blood sugar during exercise supposedly is not physiologically harmful in the same way as a blood sugar increase from something we eat. Instead, it's reflecting that our muscles, our liver, are breaking down glycogen to produce carbohydrates, more simple carbohydrates, and fatty acids from our, intracellular fatty acids are released to provide us energy. And so the blood sugar is really reflecting more that our body is compensating for our lack of food in order to provide us energy. So that's not a bad increase in insulin, increase in sugar, in blood sugar. And the mechanism is not actually an increase in insulin, but it's a breakdown of these storage fuels that we have. So I think that's probably about all I have to say today. It's been an enlightening journey for me to wear this glucose monitor, and I'm really interested to see what other people's experiences will be over time, so that we can get more information to help us all. So if you like this video, then I encourage you to subscribe to my channel so that you can get more of these videos. And again, I know next week will be week 4. I'll at least have a couple more, and who knows what we'll learn at that time. So thank you for watching, and until next time, happy eating, happy cooking.